joining me. This is exciting. So we're going to do a demonstration, and let's just get 100% clear what the intention is going to be. So you said to me earlier that, when you talk to someone or a partner about how you feel, that you shut down.
It's more when I feel in danger, or
Okay.
whenever I feel something is not going exactly as I want it to go, I would just shut down and kind of protect myself and be like very strong but very cold. Like no one can actually access me emotionally.
Got it. Okay, very good. Okay, so we're going to just say, I'm just going to say here, shut down. Because ultimately also what I'm hearing is like it's that feeling of being in an unresourceful state. And then the default coping mechanism is to numb, dissociate, and to shut down. Got it. So it also sounds like a boundary, right? It's a boundary failure ultimately, because instead of expressing what it is that you want and how you want it to be, that there's a gap there, right? So there's a boundary that's also not being established. So this coping mechanism has also become a false boundary. Got it. Very interesting. Got it. So you described your symptoms really well in terms of when you shut down, but I'm just curious, is there anything else emotionally or physically that you feel that lets you know that I'm shutting down now?
Yeah, I can totally feel my whole body closing out of the world, and my heart is kind of burning.
Okay.
And there's a part of me that doesn't want me to feel that, because I feel very strong and powerful in that moment, and I don't want to let go of that because I would be too vulnerable.
You see, it's a boundary. Perfect. Perfect. Got it. Okay. So, I'm just curious. I remember you said from an early age that your parents became aware of this pattern. I'm just wondering, if we just think back, was there maybe something specific that you noticed where there's a consistency in times when you would have this type of reaction? Is this like specific type of situations, or with certain type of people with different characteristics, or gender-wise, anything that you remember?
I think it's very likely when things are not going the way I'm planning or I
Okay.
want it to be.
Okay. So it's almost like when someone actually wants to express a boundary to you, or they want to ask you to do something, in your mind was set on, no, I want to do it this way, and then there's a disruption in that. I'm asking this because I want to make sure that I understand what she said.
I think it's more about expectation, though.
Got
It's
it.
more like what my mom said, that it was when they opened the restaurant, they didn't have time for me anymore, and I kind of felt like a bit abandoned and disappointed. So from there, I kind of had to protect myself. I felt probably more alone and needed to protect myself.
So what I'm hearing is, if I'm not in control of the change that's going to take place in my life, I'm not cooperating. Because when the change took place and she was not in control of it, it had these negative emotional consequences for her. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so we're just going to have fun. We're going to be playful. We're just going to pretend that, we're going to tap into this time when that restaurant was opened up, even though it's not the actual main cause or issue. It's just a good entry point, because that's something that she can remember. Remember, at MIT, we don't need to know the origin of the problem. We don't really need to know what even really happened. What is important is how she feels. That's where the magic is. Got it. Okay. So I'm just going to add that here as a prompt for me. There's also a good access point, because we can start tapping into the limbic system. Perfect. All right, you're doing great. So what I would like you to do now is, we're going to pretend. We're going to be playful, and we're going to pretend. I would like you to take a nice deep breath and close your eyes. I would like you now to feel this sense of here, pretend that we're going back to that moment. That moment in time when, there was this change in your life, and the restaurant was opened, and everyone was busy. And you find yourself there in the middle of this change, this shift that's taking place in your life. When you're ready, I would like you just to tell me, how do you emotionally feel? What emotions are you aware of during that time?
Disconnected and abandoned because they left me with my grandmother, so I don't know if they are.
Got it. Perfect. Right. And also there, with that feeling of disconnect, let me ask you this. How do you know that you feel disconnected? What do you need to emotionally feel in order to know that you feel disconnected? The reason why I ask that, it's more of a symptom. It's like anger and sadness, and more symptoms, an expression of something that can have many other different emotions. We want to narrow it down more to the specific emotion. So in that scenario, how did you know that you felt disconnected?
Lack of feeling. I think because I can feel a lot of energy, I can kind of feel like a lack of energy around me. I feel like how to explain it.
Let's pretend that we can throw an emotion in there. So what do you emotionally feel that lets you know, no, I feel disconnected now? Or another good question you can ask is, how did you feel before you felt disconnected?
Kind of a bit, not panic, but a bit fear and
Take your time.
yeah.
Take your time. There's no rush. You're doing good.
I can feel sadness.
Perfect. What else is there with that sadness?
I can feel that I can't have what the other kids have, like they're having their family clothes and I can't have that.
Perfect. That's it. So let's pretend that that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing other kids happy with their families, and you don't have that. So apart from sadness, how does it make you feel when you see that?
Lonely.
That's fantastic. Anything else?
And probably different misunderstood from the other ones because no one is living what I'm living, so then it's kind of I'm an exception from the other ones.
Got it. But then again, when you're in that state, it makes you feel lonely because you're misunderstood.
Yeah.
Got it. And when you feel that feeling of abandonment and aloneness, how does your physical body react? What instinctive responses do you become aware of?
Kind of I don't need whatever is outside, so I can have everything on the inside and just closing to the rest.
Got it. And when you feel that, how does your physical body react?
I can feel tense on my body. Feels
Is it like freeze or tension, like aggressive fighting?
more tense, but like holding in, so freeze and like the muscle are actually
Yeah.
holding me like with the tension.
Perfect. Got it. Would you say that holding part, do you feel it's like a hiding instinct that's kind of like creeping in there, or is it more that the freeze is the dominant instinct?
closure. There's like no option. I need to close myself, and then I just like there's nothing else I can do. I just freeze.
It's very common for the person to have two instinctive responses. So what happens is that these two instinct responses are triggered. Sometimes the body will successfully act out on one of them, and sometimes both of them can be so strong that it doesn't know which one it's acting out on, so they're in conflict. And what happens if the body doesn't know what to do? It either panics or it completely just dissociates. And so because she said she felt disconnected, I'm going to go with that sitting freeze and being still and just shutting down, closing off, because I don't know, freezing is not helping and I'm hiding, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to sit still. Okay. Does that resonate with you? Is that a good point to start? Okay. So now we have hide and freeze. Perfect. Okay, so let's pretend. I would like you to become aware of these emotions that we talked about earlier, the abandonment and feeling alone, that loneliness. Where in your body do you feel the home for that?
It's funny because I feel the abandonment on my belly when I always thought that was in my heart, but I really feel it like more in this area.
That makes perfect sense, to feel the abandonment in the abdomen area, because small intestine is family dynamics, family support, family love. This is a perfect psychosomatic book case study. That's perfect. That's why you feel it there. It's perfect. And I just want to acknowledge you for allowing yourself to listen to your body, because she said, I thought it would always be in my heart, but hang on, I actually feel it in my stomach. You know, instead of ignoring that and then going with the heart, because she expected to feel it there. But that's why I say it's so incredibly important to let go of what you think you know about your body and what it's going to show you, and be open to what it really wants to show you. Very good. Got it. So we're going to just say here, stomach. Perfect. Got it. And where you feel that feeling in your stomach, do you feel it perhaps outside as well, or just inside the body?
A little bit outside, but mainly inside.
Okay. So now we're going to have fun. We're going to pretend that we're going to connect to this part of it that's outside of the body. And just spontaneously, whose face or voice do you see that you know?
More than one person.
That's okay, yeah.
It
That
kind
can
of
happen
feels
too.
like a lineage of women.
Got it. So trauma transfer. Trauma transfer. Got it. So we have that. But because you said it's outside, I'm still going to see if we can find someone that she recognizes in her life. Let me do this. We're going to pretend that this soul copy just has a spontaneous voice and it's just going to shout out to you who it is. And if it did, who would it be?
I think it's my mom.
Perfect. I feel the same, so I completely agree. Do you feel that that's mom also feeling alone, or is there a different emotion there with it? Just curious.
Yeah, a lot of, I've got goosebumps all over my body. It's a lot of loneliness.
Perfect. Maybe that's also why she started the restaurant, to invest all that time and energy and focus to fulfill this void within her. But as a result, the ripple effects of neglecting her role as a mom as well. Not deliberately, it's just maybe got so passionate because finally something creative is being added to that inner void. Okay. And I'm just saying this out loud as I'm sharing, because this is normally, I wouldn't say this normally to the client, I'm just sharing with you out loud my thinking process and observations that I have as I work with clients. Normally this is completely quiet during the process. You're doing great, this is perfect. Fine. So here we have the emotions, we have the instincts, we have the soul copy, we know it's trauma transfer. Perfect. There we go. So, is it okay if I help you to shift this? Yes. Okay. Very good. Take a nice deep breath. Reset that frontal cortex. Starting something new now. Another thing that I invite you now to do at this point is to just think back, just become aware again of the abandonment and the loneliness and the hide and the freeze, that disconnect feeling that you told me about. Just have an awareness of that. Because the limbic system's already stimulated, the reptilian mind stimulated, cellular memory is stimulated, it's perfect. There's no need to relive the trauma. Okay? Now, I would like you to feel, see, sense, or hear yourself in a beautiful light. You're like a caterpillar in a cocoon. Any color of your choice. There we go. When you're ready, you can let go of that light or place or space where you're finding yourself in. Gently come back to me. Is that like a yoga shirt, or looks cool with the fingers? You look like the warrior goddess, the bikers. Very good. Break state. Talk about something funny, point something out. Just break state, give the mind just time to come, move up. Now, do my speaker's course. Move away from what we were just doing. So, I'm curious, what was that like? What did you hear, feel, see, or sense? I love to hear the process, that's why I'm asking. I'm just curious.
It was very strong when you came to my belly, into this part. I felt it first in my hands, very heavy and very strong energy, and then I felt like huge energy in my belly. And then slowly was dissolving. And also when I was keeping in my mind the abandonment feeling, it was slowly, I couldn't hold on it anymore because it was kind of fading.
I love to do that with clients. I tell them, now that emotion that you feel, that negative emotion, hold on to it. Because as you do the healing, they go like, they have that, oh shit moment, it's going. Just so that they can have awareness that this is actually shifting. I love to do that. I'm like, you try to hold it as hard as you can. It's funny.
Yeah.
Very good.
And then at the end, when you disconnected me in the right cylinder, it was very, very pleasurable. I kind of felt.
It was a sense of freedom.
Yes.
You know that Jerry Maguire song, "Hannah, I'm free." You know that song? And that's kind of.
Yeah.
That was funny. Yeah. That's what I felt. Yeah.
Like if, a lot of responsibility was taken away of my body, and I was like, oh, yes, like really nice shower.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good. So, how do you feel now about that old problem that we talked about earlier? I never named the issue. I'm going to see if they can remember.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of going to, which one was it already?
Very good.
Yes. But I
Take it.
I feel quite neutral. It doesn't really affect me thinking about it.
And when you and how does a physical body react when you think back to it?
Just calmness within. It's no.
Very
It's
good.
amazing. Yeah.
I know. Very good. Give her a thunder, round of applause.